Hi everyone, it's Katie, and today I just wanted to share with you my collection of oracle decks. I'm going to go through them all pretty quickly, and I'll leave any relevant links, whether it be to other videos I've made or to where you can find more info about these decks below. And these aren't reviews, I just wanted to share with you my oracle decks. I will share my tarot decks in another video because otherwise this one is just going to be too long. So I hope you enjoy. So this is the first deck I have to show you. It is Daily Guidance from Your Angel Oracle Cards by Doreen Virtue. This one I found at Savers recently for $3, so that is why the box is a little bit damaged, but that's okay. And so is the book, but the cards are actually in really good nick. I am really actually enjoying this deck. The artwork and the imagery is really pretty, and it's actually really cohesive throughout the deck, which is something I wouldn't necessarily say about a lot of the Doreen Virtue decks that I have experienced in the past. As with many of her decks, they have a kind of keyword or key phrase and then a message at the bottom. The next deck I have to show you is the Alchemist Oracle by Connected and Free and Inner Hue. This is an Australian deck, so I will leave any relevant links below, and that is true for all of the decks that I'm showing you. I usually keep it in this bag that I ordered from Creative Sprite, and I have a review of those bags on my channel. This is the backing. It's a really simple image there, and the artistry in this deck is beautiful. There's a lot of watercolor sort of images. They all have a keyword at the bottom. There's also a lot of like ink sketchy sort of pictures, and some have compared the imagery on this deck to the Wild Unknown. And although I can see where that might be true for a few images, I don't think it is so prevalent throughout the deck that it makes this deck a Wild Unknown knockoff. The image is beautiful, and the book that comes with this deck is incredible. I did an unboxing when I received this deck, so I'll leave the link for that video below as well. Deck number 3 is an oracle deck that has received a lot of love and praise and attention on YouTube over the past year or so, and that is the Vintage Wisdom Oracle by Victoria Mosely. It is a beautiful kind of collage-y image deck, but it's done really well and it doesn't feel too choppy. It's a very feminine deck, and it has keywords at the bottom, and the book is really quite poetically and beautifully done. The images are obviously really pretty and easy to just kind of step into. Very cinematic and emotive, I think. There's lots of flowers and butterflies and things like that in this deck as well. This, I think, was the first oracle deck that I ever bought. It is the Aboriginal Spirit Oracles by Mel Brown, and is obviously an Australian deck. That's the backing. It is a combination of Aboriginal spirituality and Aboriginal art, as well as there's a lot of goddess imagery, and it's just kind of a visual representation of the very eclectic and beautiful spirituality of Mel Brown. Along with the goddess imagery, it's obviously got a lot of feminine qualities to this deck. There is a guidebook. It's small, but it is useful. And I love, here we go, here's the maiden, mother and crone sort of image. And there's also a lot of chakra imagery as well. This is another deck that is featured before on my channel, and it is a really beautiful deck. It is the Magic and Manifestation Affirmation cards by Christina and Stella Woods. The box, as well as the cards, have a lot of gold gilding, and they're just stunning. This is the backing, which is gilded, and all of the borders are gilded, and they're really beautiful. They all have a keyword, and it's this really gentle, just mesmerizing watercolor. And I just honestly think that this is one of the prettiest, most beautiful decks that I own or that I've ever really seen. It's one of those decks that the camera just doesn't do it justice. The cards are a beautiful size, are really matte in their finish. So not only are they beautiful to look at, they're just really beautiful to hold and use. This is a pretty new addition to my collection and I am yet to use it. It is the Osho Transformation Tarot. I have the Osho Zen Tarot and it is one of my favorite decks. This, however, is certainly not a tarot deck. It is definitely an oracle deck. It has 60 cards. This is the backing. They're really quite big cards. And as I haven't used it, it's still in order. From what I can gather, this deck kind of uses a lot of different stories and different messages from the major religions of the world. And there are stories in the guidebook, which is pretty chunky. And there's also a keyword down at the bottom. This is a deck that I'm sure you've seen before. I think most people are pretty familiar with it. It is the Goddess Guidance Oracle Cards by Doreen Virtue. Here is the backing. I really like this deck. I mean, I've heard criticisms that, you know, the guidebook really kind of whitewashes the messages and meanings and stories behind the goddesses. And I, to a large extent, do agree with that. So I think I just use this deck with that understanding that I don't take Doreen's message as, you know, my only understanding or information about the goddess. But as a quick and easy way to connect with goddess energy, I really like this deck. The goddesses come from many different cultures and mythologies all across the world. And I really do like the images on this deck. I mentioned with my first deck that I showed you, sometimes I find Doreen Virtue decks really inconsistent and incoherent. But this is one that I have used that I really like. This is the Wild Wisdom of the Faery Oracle by Lucy Cavendish and Selena Fenech. This is the backing. It's a fairy star. And the cards are really big and the artwork is beautiful. They have a title and some keywords on each card, and it comes with a massive guidebook. It's, you know, like a good solid book. Actually it's the same size as the box there, and it's 200 pages. So it's really quite extensive. There's about 3 or 4 pages on each card actually, I think. However, I find this deck really difficult to read with. I find that I am very reliant on the book. And I find that with a lot of Lucy Cavendish and Alana Fairchild sort of decks. I don't know what it is about those sort of decks, but I find them really difficult to read. But it is an absolutely beautiful deck, and for that reason I haven't been able to let it go. This little gem of a deck was one that my mother brought back from me after her trip in Paris. It's called the L'Oracle de Miras, and it's all in French. But I love it. I love the backing. It's very colourful and very cute, pretty in a cute way. But yeah, the colours are very saturated and vibrant. This is another deck that my mother has brought back for me from her travels. It is the Flowers of Love. And it is really an oracle deck. The cards are very little. She purchased it for me because I absolutely adore sunflowers, and she found it at a little op shop in Perth, so she picked it up for me. It's really cute. It's all flowers, and in the image is depicted different myths that are associated with the meaning of the flower. So you have the name of the flower up the top and a number so that you can look it up in the guidebook, and then kind of a keyword or phrase at the bottom. And it's really pretty, and the guidebook is small, but I've actually found it really, really interesting. It kind of goes through the myths and what they can mean for you, and it also breaks it down into what the cards can mean in different sorts of readings. So for example, relationship readings or work readings. This is another pretty new deck for me. It is the Chakra Wisdom Oracle cards by Tori Hartman. This is the backing. It's really pretty. Obviously, there's lots of colours in this deck being associated with the chakras. So there are 7 cards for each of the chakras, and the borders make it really clear which chakra each card relates to. And I got this one at a bookshop near me. It was about $10, so I picked it up. And I find it really interesting. I haven't really worked with it much yet, but the artwork is pleasant. And the book that comes with these Watkins decks are always really, really good. And this one is no exception. I haven't had this deck too long either. Here is the backing. It is the Sacred Sites Oracle. And I kind of shared this in my haul a few weeks ago. The image on these cards are beautiful, and quite obviously all of the cards depict various sacred sites throughout the world. And there is a bit of a kind of system or structure to these cards, and they're absolutely stunning. I do wish that they had the keywords, because they have a keyword for each of the sacred sites in the guidebook, and the guidebook's wonderful. I do kind of wish they had the keyword on each of the cards, because I don't know a lot of these sites, so I find it a little bit difficult to read. But it's beautiful, and I am enjoying learning about it. This is the Goddess Oracle deck by Amy, Sophia, Marashinsky and Hrana Janto. This is the backing. I showed this deck a little bit in my video about my Goddess Oracle decks, and I have reduced the number of Goddess decks that I have again, and this one obviously passed the test because it is one of my favourite decks. And obviously one of my favourite goddess decks, or is my favourite goddess deck, but certainly one of my favourite decks as well. The artwork's beautiful, and each has the name of the goddess and a keyword for her, and the guidebook is just incredible. I love this deck. This is my crystal reading cards by Rachelle Charman, by Rockpool Publishing. I have 3 of Rockpool's decks, and the cards are big and beautiful, and I had been looking for a crystal deck, but just the imagery on them had never appealed to me. But this one I absolutely love. It comes with a wonderful guidebook, and each has the name of the crystal and a keyword, so it's really easy to use this deck, and I think it's beautiful as well. Deck number 2 by Rockpool. This is the Australian Wildflower Reading cards by Cheryl and Darcy, and this is a deck that has been on my wish list and my radar for a long time, and I finally picked it up. I actually have a few of the cards sitting up on my desk because they're just so beautiful. Each has the name of the flower and a keyword, and the guidebook by Sherilyn is wonderful, and I just think these images are stunning. I think she's done such a good job. I love this artwork. And last but not least is my Dreamtime Reading cards by Laura Bowen. I did a review on this deck, and I talk about it all the time. It is truly one of my favourite decks ever. Probably my favourite Oracle deck. I love Laura's work. Follow her on Instagram, and I swear I like every single one of her images. They're just all gorgeous, and I can't wait for her new deck, which she's working on at the moment. I'm sorry I'm shaking, guys. It's just so vibrant and beautiful. I can't get enough of this deck. I'll leave any relevant links below, whether it be to other videos that I've made that talk about these decks in more detail, or to where you can find the artist or information about the decks below. If you have any deck recommendations based on these decks that you think I might like, please let me know, because it's always fun to discover new decks. If you've heard me talk about an Oracle deck that isn't here, that's likely because I've either sold it or given it away. I don't like to hold on to decks that I know I'm not connecting with, or know that I'm not really going to use again. So thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you guys in the comments, and until next time, much love and bye.